Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Delighted to have your company in our daily fix of football chat. The main talking points tonight on the programme: Celtic are in Norway ahead of their Europa League tie against Molde. Hibs closed the gap on Rangers at the top of the Championship, while Mark Warburton's side booked their place in the semi-finals of the Petrofac Training Cup. And we are stateside for our bootroom guest in, of all places, San Diego. Alan Ruff alongside me here, delighted to get the chance to have a wee chat about some of the football that we're going to be looking forward to, and looking back at last night's football as well, Ruffy. Celtic in Molde to face them in the Europa League tomorrow night. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer suddenly back there as the head coach.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. He looked very pleased to be back. He was saying that he didn't have enough time to actually go into the tie itself, but he had seen Celtic in the last two games, which will obviously help him. I think it's a big game for Celtic tomorrow. I think a win should be on the cards. They can't afford to lose the game, but I would like to think that they'd be able to go there and get the win.
Yeah, here's how the group looks for Celtic. Just 2 points behind Molde, but Molde, I think, Ruffy, it's fair to say, surprised everybody with a win over Fenerbahce, and of course they've got a draw against Ajax.
Yeah, their confidence will be high, there's no doubt about that. They'll obviously worked on a lot of set pieces. Obviously it's out there for everybody that in the Europa games that Celtic aren't as good in set pieces, so I think that'll be a big play for them. You would only hope that Celtic have been working on it and try and stop it.
Any worry over no James Forrest, no Charlie Mulgrew?
Well, I think Charlie Mulgrew's been out for a wee while there. They actually miss him in European football because he can play in so many positions. James Forrest was a main player for Gordon Strachan there. He looked as if he was coming back into form. They will miss him, there's no doubt about that, but I would like to think they've got enough in depth.
Yeah, I think they have got enough in reserve, Ruffy. Do you think they should be expecting a win? Because, you know, Stefan Johansson said, you know, the reason he joined Celtic and Scottish football is because it's better than what he left behind. Well,
if you look at the two games that they've just played there, you know, in Malmo, they should have won the game. They were leading away from home and at home, winning 2-0. Should have won that one as well. So you would like to think that if they got the lead, they would be able to hang on to it and certainly win the game.
Okay, we will keep our eyes on that very closely. Ruffy, football last night, I decided that I was going to go to the Falkirk Stadium to see Falkirk and Hibs and how they're faring in this championship. I think Falkirk will be there or thereabouts as far as the playoffs are concerned, but Hibs last night showed a steely determination, and I might as well cut to the chase and tell you they were gifted the 3 points by the referee. It was a shocking decision to give them a penalty from John McGinn on Blair Olsen. He basically ran into him.
Yeah, it was absolutely astounding, you know, and in light of the two decisions at the weekend there that he never gave at Motherwell, you know, the handball and the foul. I don't know whether he was trying to make up for it or not, but certainly it definitely was.
I don't think referees go from one game to the next.
No, well, he got a lot of pressure, you know, and I think once he got home at the weekend and had a sit and look at it, he could see that it was two mistakes. And sometimes, I mean, I don't know the inner thinking of referees, but I would think when it happened, you would go, well, I've got two wrong on Saturday. What do I do here? You know, do I get it right or wrong? And unfortunately for him, he got it wrong.
No, I think having listened to 1,001 referees, you know, you judge every game, every incident as you see it and try to implement the rules that you've studied so hard for. But I have to say, Ruffy, it was a shocker. But over and above that, to the positives of the Hibs side, they dug in. I mean, I don't think Peter Houston was too happy with the way Falkirk were trying to get back into the game. They tended to go long and direct, and that just played right into Hibs' hands. Their back four coped with it. Gray, McGregor, the boy Bartley looked very, very solid indeed. Hanlon was there, and Stevenson, and you know, and they kept a clean sheet, which was key.
Yeah, but as Alan Stubbs said, that possibly wouldn't have happened last year. You know, it was a big failing, you know, when they were last 10 minutes of a game trying to hold on, balls getting thrown into the box, they weren't defending it properly. But now, last night's evidence, they now have a new set of players who have hardened to the fact that sometimes you've got to defend what you've got, and that's what they did last night.
Yeah, I tell you who I do like, Ruffy. All the talk has been about, you know, the Liam Hendersons, the Dylan McGeochs, maybe even the Fraser Fiveys of the world, but John McGinn just put himself about. He has a tremendous engine, and of course he's a threat for them going forward from midfield.
Well, it's a super signing, there's no doubt about that. I think Alan Stubbs identified what he could bring to the team. I think, did he, correct me if I'm wrong, goal of the season last year? McGinn picked the ball up halfway line, fire through, and he scored from distance as well at some games. So yeah, I think he's obviously finding his way into the side, but now he's beginning to show what he can offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hibs got the points, Ruffy, and let's have a look at that championship table just to see how it all squares up now. Rangers now with an 8-point advantage. Hibs have a tricky one at the weekend. It's by no means a given. It's off to Starks Park to play Wraith. They're just narrowly in front of them. And this one, Rangers will be looking at this one thinking, the two of them could cut each other's throat in this one. But Hibs, I think, have to get the win knowing that Easter Road is beckoning for Rangers in the next game.
There's no doubt about that. I think Wraith Rovers, like Falkirk, will throw up another challenge and they'll have to step up to it as well. But he will want to win that game, there's no doubt about that. He'll want to win it to go into the Rangers game with the 2 wins behind back to back. They want to go into the game with a lot of confidence, and it's just amazing that Hibs have got a couple of wins there, and that gap, although it is still a few points, doesn't look as bad as what it was.
Yeah, I think there's a real belief in the camp that they can actually take Rangers at Easter Road.
Yeah, well, obviously we're looking at the Rangers results now. You're looking at the Falkirk result, the Queen of the South. It looks as if teams are now adapting to Rangers' style of play. Obviously their fullbacks are in the game, but now they're hitting them on the break. So, Rangers aren't scoring 4 and 5 goals now. I'm sure they will get back to that, there's no doubt about it. But I think Hibs will think that if they can get the Wraith Rovers game out the road, this is the right time to get Rangers.
And talking of hitting them, Livingston certainly hit them last night, because Mark Warburton, and I think rightly so, the Rangers manager, said, some of his players need a bit of protection. It was like a bit of an American football game last night.
Well, I only saw the highlights, and certainly the first challenge was a bit outrageous. Slid in and caught the boy in the foot. The second one was more like a rugby challenge, but these things happen in football, and it doesn't matter who you are, or what team you're playing. When you identify a playmaker in the side who's going to win a game for you, you try and nullify him, and sometimes that's the way it works. I think if you look back at World Cup finals with Maradona, and you look at the big players get identified, you take them out of the game, or stop them from playing, obviously legally, and as Livingston manager said, none of his players get sent off.
Yes, that doesn't necessarily mean it was legal, though. Can you take on board Mark Warburton's, grief with this and anger? Because you've got a player like Adua who's got a bit of flair, got a bit of skill, and he was clearly given the message. Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. We all want to go to games. We want to see an entertainer like him. We want to see somebody on the ball all the time. But when you're playing against them, it doesn't matter who you are. If Rangers would go to play Barcelona, I'm sure they'd identify Messi to stop him playing, and I'm not saying you would do anything illegal, but you would do your utmost to make sure that he isn't comfortable in the game, and that's what happens when you play better sides. Livingston are sitting bottom of the league, they're coming against the top of the league, you've got to stop them playing.
Yeah, okay, you're a hard man, Ruffy. Let's have a look at the semi-final draw. It's now completed now in the Petrofac Training Cup. There it is, Queen's Park against Peterhead. Both those sides, we've had a chat with both managers over the last couple of weeks. They now know that the showpiece could be there for them for the game against either Rangers or St Mirren. If I was to really force your hand on this one, Ruffy, who do you think the two finalists will be?
I think Rangers obviously will be there. I think they'll have the motivation to win a trophy. I think the new players that have come in there will want to win a trophy, and I think everything favours them. As far as the Queen's Park game is, I'd like to see Gus McPherson getting a wee bit of rub of the green, and getting to a final. And if it's at Hampden, I'm sure it'll be a big turnout. Yeah,
so you're going Rangers against Queen's Park for the final?
Yes.
Yeah, quite confident?
Yeah, I think I am, yeah.
Okay, then I'll go Rangers Peterhead, just to kind of put a little twist on it, just to disagree with you, and
I'm quite happy with that.
see if we can get that kind of a condescending look as one of us one of us gets it right, another one gets it woefully wrong. Okay, coming up in the next part of the programme, we're off to San Diego, no less. We've been tracking down a former Hearts player. It seems like only yesterday I was interviewing him as a young boy making his debut for Hearts. I'm talking, of course, about Paul Ritchie. We caught up with him late yesterday because I didn't want to get him up too early, to be perfectly honest with you, Ruffy. We caught up with him to find out what he's doing in San Diego and what his hopes are for the future. We're also going to talk about Arsenal in the Champions League, and we'll discuss some of the other key games taking place tonight in European football. That's all coming up in the next part of Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Join us if you can. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruffy, Peter Martin. We will shortly be going into the boot room, but just a couple of stories just to get your thoughts on before we eventually talk to our boot room guest, and is alongside me, Peter Martin. We will shortly be going into the boot room, but just a couple of stories just to get your thoughts on before we eventually talk to our boot room guest, and of course about the European football and the Champions League, Ruffy. The FIFA Ethics Committee is investigating Sepp Blatter. It's just been announced. Michel Platini, Jerome Valcke and Franz Beckenbauer. Clearly this is growing arms and legs at FIFA now. It is getting to the point where you're wondering how far this will go and who eventually will cop it at the top level.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who haven't been named yet will be very, very worried that the people there are part of what they've been accused of, that there must be other people as well. There's no doubt about that throughout they're going to be drawn into if you're thinking about the people there are part of what they've been accused of, that there must be other people as well. There's no doubt about that throughout the whole federation, and it's interesting to see that as well, that they're not letting them stand for the re-election while they're under investigation, so that might open the door for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think no matter what happens, Ruffy, it'll go all the way through to the 2 World Cups that have been awarded in Russia and Qatar, which is still throwing up grave concerns, not only for fans going to that country to watch the spectacle, but players to actually play in it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I don't think it's been looked into thorough at all on both sides. I know the stadiums and everything will be magnificent. It'll be run impeccably, but I don't think they've really looked into it in depth, fan-wise, and I think they're the ones that could suffer out of this one.
Yep. Just one little story that caught my eye, and I think it's well done to UEFA, who recognise various players in the women's game who've achieved 100 caps, and Ifema Dieke and Joe Love have been honoured with some very special commemorative caps. It's a nice initiative, and well done to the 2 girls in question.
Yep, there's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter what level you play at, to accumulate that amount of caps is absolutely tremendous. You need a lot of dedication, and obviously you have to be on top of your game a lot, and these 2 girls deserve it thoroughly. Yeah,
just think about it, Ruffy. If you hadn't Jim Leighton there, you could have had about 100 caps as well.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that face. He's raging.
Right, yeah.
Okay, always like to keep in touch with Scottish footballers near and far. One particular man caught my eye over the last couple of weeks, and I thought it's time to track him down, see what he's up to. Ruffy and myself caught him late last night to have a wee chat with former Hearts defender Paul Ritchie in the boot room.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
I'm delighted we're in the boot room with a former Hearts and Dundee United star, and he's out there in North America plying his trade now. Welcome, Paul Ritchie. How are you, Paul?
Very good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, excellent. I mean, there have been a number of Hearts fans looking on with great affection, wondering what are you up to out there now? I know you were doing a bit of assistant coaching with Vancouver Whitecaps. What are you up to now?
Yeah, Peter, I moved to California in January, and now I'm a technical director at a youth club just north of San Diego. So something a little bit different now.
Is it something that you see the long term? I mean, I know a number of players have gone out to America and thought, okay, I can maybe go 2 or 3 years. Ruffy went out there as a player at the tail end of his career. Is it something you see as a long term view?
I'm not sure, Peter. I just think I'm very fortunate to still be involved in the game I love. Jobs become few and far between the older you get, and as I said, at this moment in time, I'm take great pleasure in helping develop young players across here. I've always got an eye on opportunities and openings that may occur back in the UK.
Paul, obviously we've just missed out in qualifying for another big tournament, and the first thing that gets thrown up to everybody is grassroots football. Having been over in America, I know what it's like over there. I know that the coaching's absolutely fantastic. Is there anything we can learn from the Americans?
I think the big thing here, Ruffy, especially where we are, is the facilities and the weather. As I said, there's no reason to have any sessions called off. The facilities are fantastic, top notch. But the big thing here is they actually pay a hell of a lot of money for their kids at an early age. And as I said, it's something that's completely different than the UK. And I wouldn't like to see that implemented back home in the UK. But there's certain things that they possibly could take. But as I said, the facilities are the major part here in the States.
The other good thing about it from your point of view is you've got the experience of being an assistant over there at a couple of clubs, Paul. I mean, you're of an age now where Scottish football, they're looking at younger managers who've decided to go out and make sure they've got as much experience as possible. Would you consider a move back home if it was the right move?
100%, Peter. I think having been involved in football since I was 15, 16, I would love an opportunity to get back in the professional game. But as I said, it's been a few years now since I've been in the UK, and sometimes it's one of those ones when you're out of sight, out of mind. But I always keep in touch with certain people, and I would grab that opportunity with great pleasure if it became available.
Yeah, it makes me feel really old, Paul, because it seems like only yesterday I was watching you as I was a young reporter in Edinburgh, and you were making your debut for Hearts.
It doesn't seem that long ago, Peter, but I can assure you it was a good few years ago now. And as I said, those were the days that you play football for. As I say, I think nowadays the young players are caught up with the different things and what they actually can get out of the game. But to have that opportunity to play for a team that you supported as a kid was a dream come true, and something I'll never ever forget. And
with that in mind, I presume you do keep your eye on the Jambos and how they're faring now under Robbie Nielsen and of course the director of football, somebody you'll know well, Craig Levine.
100%. As I said, I watch them. Fortunate enough to get them on TV every now and again as well.
I know a number of Hearts fans will be delighted to see you when you come back. Are you planning to come back at Christmas maybe to see the Jambos and see how they're performing?
100%, Peter. I'll be back for Christmas, back early December, and spend a month back in the UK and taking as many Hearts games as I possibly can.
Yeah, well, the good news is, Paul, that Ruffy and I will get you, a spare ticket for Buster Brown's. We'll head there first, then we maybe do the amphitheatre, and then maybe the Rutland, if that's okay. Just a couple of hours in each pub, just to enjoy the festivities.
Sounds good to me, Peter.
That face there is the perfect way to end it. Listen, absolutely brilliant. Great to see you, Paul, and hope to see you around Christmas time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, gentlemen. Have a great day.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Right, that makes me feel as if the back's going and the legs are going, Ruffy. I mean, honestly, he's looking well. He hasn't changed much.
Yeah, it's a wonderful lifestyle over there. The opportunity to go over to San Diego this year to see my son who's living over there. It's a wonderful environment, and I'm sure he'll be loving every minute of it. And it was interesting when he was talking about the coaching over there. it's amazing the difference between over there and here. He touched on it briefly there, that most of our boys' club over here every week are fighting to get a pitch somewhere and finding the money to train and take the kids for football. Over there, the communities own their own facilities.
Yeah.
You know, the under 8s, under 9s, right up to 16s own their own facilities with their own training parts, their own. Everything is there for them, and it gives them the opportunity to go out there and want to learn. Obviously, as he touched on it there, the weather helps as well, but it's way ahead of us by miles.
Yeah. Just before we finish, Ruffy, what about the Champions League? Last night, great win for Arsenal, 2-0 against Bayern.
Yeah, touched on it yesterday. Arsene Wenger's team have that European touch about them. They seem to find the big result when they needed it, and they certainly needed it last night, and it was a tremendous result. But I think your man Neuer's went off the boil now.
Yeah.
He can't be number one anymore.
No, you're not having
that. No, after that.
What, for one blunder?
No, and the one against Scotland as well. So he's on the decline.
Yeah, you think he's on the way down?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, I'm so glad we stuck by you for maybe 2 or 3 blunders in your international career and your domestic stuff. You're a hard man tonight, Ruffy, I'll have to tell you that. Of course, Chelsea got the 0-0. Tonight, Manchester United and Man City are involved. If Rooney scores tonight, he'll equal Dennis Law's record of goals for United, which is no mean feat, and he's only 12 short of Bobby Charlton.
Yeah, it's a tremendous record. There's no doubt about that. And as a player like him, you know, he'll want to get that record. I have to say that he has settled down a lot from 3 or 4 years ago, and he looks as if he's working harder at the game. Not scoring as many goals, but I certainly think he'll score tonight. Yeah.
Where does he rank? Is he in the top 10 greatest Manchester United players of all time?
Oh, I think he would squeeze in there at the bottom end, I think.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Rob. He was struggling to get into my 10. I'm dying to know your 10 on that. Anyway, Man United against CSKA Moscow, are they winning?
Yes, I think they will. I think he's beginning to get a European side as well, and they look as if they're very comfortable playing that style of football.
And briefly, Man City, Sevilla?
Man City.
Okay then, that's good enough for me, Ruffy. I thought you were going to be really harsh the way you started the programme, but thankfully you've ended on a nice note. Hope you enjoyed Paul Ritchie. Good night.